Okay, we are live. Let me just invite Sully. Guys, if you can hear me and see me, please leave your comment in the chat box so I will know that. So I'm not talking to myself. Let's see, I'm live. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, we have some people here.
Hey, what's going on?
Yo, hey, Sully. Guys, sorry, really sorry for the technical issue. You know, I tested everything before the live, and even if you test things, still things can go wrong.
It happens. Yeah, it happens, man. It
So,
always happens when it's worse.
yeah, so today I'm really excited to have a special guest in my channel. I know for 100% that all of you already know him. He did like a really big buzz in the community, and I decided to take him to our UK community and really try to help us out in the UK because we have our own problems. So this is Sullivan Farouk doing manual dropshipping, something that nobody does like for at least 2 to 3 years. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Sully. We're really glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here, Sasha. Thank you for having me, and I'd love to, try to help some people in the UK. And I think a lot of the strategies can be, implemented in the UK as well. So I'm definitely glad to be here and to try to help you guys out.
Appreciate that. So like I think most of the people already saw your video that you tell a bit about yourself, but for maybe new viewers or the UK that maybe didn't watch you, can you share a bit your story? Because I was really inspired by your story, and I thought that I know everything, but like you opened my eyes. So yeah, if can you like shortly share your story, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Suleiman, as Sasha mentioned, but the reason my channel is called Sully is because that's a lot easier to pronounce. So of course, feel free to call me that in this video and anytime in the future. And I am 21 years old right now, and I'm actually a college dropout. So I was doing really well in school. And, it's not like one of those stories where I was doing really terribly and school wasn't for me. In fact, school really was for me. I was on headed in a direction where I was going to be either a doctor or a nurse, one of those two. And I was still deciding. And so my story is basically I decided to take a semester off to save for nursing school. And, I was in debt at the time. I had college debt. I didn't want more. So I took a semester off from school and I decided to work at a local steel factory. And it was just terrible. I did not like that job at all. So long story short, I quit. And that's when I actually took a $10 course on a site called Udemy. And I learned a lot of things, and I just got started with eBay dropshipping.
I like that you said the godfather of eBay dropshipping. How it called David Wu.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, David Wu. So David Wu's course, and it was $10 at the time. And what's funny is, a lot of people say, "Oh my goodness, like this is a revolutionary method." My process and my method of manual dropshipping is a simple update with David Wu. So what the community thought, what happened is everyone said, "Oh, David Wu's method is outdated," because he's not using software. And so everyone transitioned into software in their eBay dropshipping business. The same people I started with are now using software. And what's funny is now we're all headed back in David Wu's manual method without software. And I decided to stay without software and just kind of bring a process and develop a process to it. And so anyway, when I quit my steel factory job, I was doing eBay and things just took off. And since then I just dropped out of college because I just didn't want to continue doing that. So
just for you to know, guys, like he dropped out of college And if like, correct me if I'm wrong, like in 2018, okay, like in your whole journey, something like that, in one year and a half, something like that, this guy actually profited 240 US dollars in profit. Nothing says in profit, guys. That is like outstanding. This is like huge numbers, and like I was blown away that in he's like not using any kind of softwares besides only, you said, TrackerBot, right?
Yeah, so yeah, so 240K in profit, and yeah, so no software except for TrackerBot, but I'm actually moving away from that as well because I want to show people you need absolutely no software in your business. TrackerBot was something I was using because it was just convenient to me, and I'm glad I used it. But I'm transitioning away from that too, just to teach people that you don't need any software in your business, in your dropshipping business.
And also, I wanted to ask you, okay, I wanted to really ask you, like, what are the like software owners are like reaching out to you that like you crash their businesses, and I get messages from like software software owners, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like this is an anarchy for them. You had like or something?
No, actually, it's funny. I didn't necessarily expect any, people reaching out and being mad, but I didn't. The owner of Zik Analytics reached out to me and wanted me to test out, his tool, and I respectfully declined because I just don't see a need to use it. But I think he respected my method. I think he reached out to me in a very respectful manner. So I respect all software owners. I have nothing. I'm not trying to hurt their business, but at the same time, I think right now on YouTube, the community is advocating for software too much, and people think that, look, okay, would you give a self-driving Tesla to a beginner driver?
No.
Probably not, right? So why would you give tons of software to a beginner dropshipper? That's my motive. That's my message.
Yeah, and I will tell you, like, honestly, like what I think. So, first of all, all those softwares, like when I started, okay, I started my eBay journey like almost 3 years ago, and actually on eBay.com. But like in those days, right now, it is almost impossible for people like me, for international citizens, to go in and compete with the U.S. market without at least having a company in the United States. I just started in the UK, so I'm just I'm continuing with it. But the thing that I wanted to say, that when I started, okay, we didn't have Zik Analytics. We barely had like repricing tool, maybe like 2 or 3 repricing tools, and like those tools are generating a huge ton of money, okay, a huge ton of money. And I'm not saying, again, like every tool that reach out to me, I'm not saying that I'm against tools or something like that, okay. You are against tools, but I'm not against tools. Now I'm a bit starting to being against tool, and not because like it is their fault, but because it is takes away all the creativity. Okay, so
Right.
like short story, when I bought a course like for more than 1,000 US dollars in Israel, that they taught us like the method, do this and this and this and this, and that's it, then you make money. So were like 500, 600 people in the group. We had a WhatsApp group with 500, 600 people, and like all of us were making like maybe $50 a month, something like that. And I thought to myself, like, it can't be the case. Like, I need to go ahead, and eBay gives you all the data. Okay, eBay wants you to know the data so you can come in and sell, because it is also their benefit to sell. But the problem is, so I went to eBay and started looking up like what is going on. Like, it can be that what they preach, and everybody doing the same, like sheeps. So I thought to myself, I need to go ahead in like myself, and see what is working on eBay, and what are like who is actually making money, and not those like trying to teach me how to like do money, and I'm with like almost 1,000 dropshippers that are doing the same. So I started testing out, and I don't know if you know that, but there was a time that Walmart had a shipping pass, like
Yeah.
Prime for like so cheap items for $1, and you get a free 2-day shipping. Like something amazing. Like I loved it. I made so much money out of this shipping pass. And this is what I did. I found a seller. I see that he is selling not like 10 items per month. He's selling like 50, 100 items per day. And I thought to myself, wow, I invented the sniping method. I really thought that I invented this method, and like I did exactly like what he did, and I did like the research that you show, that I took his title and I searched for the same item on eBay, and I was competing with the lowest price. I was the lowest from everyone, and I took the title that works the best. And man, I had like at least 150, between 200 orders per day. It took my business from like doing maybe 200 US dollars in profit to almost like 4 or 5,000 US dollars in profit. I was like sitting all day just processing orders. Like it was insane. And this is only started when I took my head and looked at eBay and figure out alone how to what I need to be a bit creative, to think like in a ways that like not everyone is doing the same. Because when something is saturated, like the fidget spinners, when it came up, guess who made the most money? Those are that started the first like the selling first. And today I can see like all the shops, like people are stuck with like huge stocks. So you need to try to at least to catch up a starting trend, or at least to like try to create it, because you have so many opportunities on eBay and Amazon. And but people, they want just the okay, so I have tool that he will upload for me items, that everything will be automated and I will not be in the business at all. And I think this is what is the problem with the tools, not the tool themselves. The problem that it is takes away all the creativity of the business owner, and you need to think how to generate income to your business. Yeah, your thoughts about it?
Completely agree. No, completely agree. Absolutely, what you said. It's spot on. Look, these tools are they're not. There's nothing. There is a few things actually wrong with the tools, but for the most part, the problem is the end user, right? Us as drop shippers. I give people credit because it's not that people are really trying to be lazy, but they're being sold a dream, okay? And they're being sold this thought that you should automate everything, you should click one button and list thousands of items. Well, I think people sometimes don't realize that there's affiliate marketing involved, and if the person who's promoting the software gets you, and I'm not even talking about the software owners, I'm talking about the affiliates, if they get you to sign up, they're going to get some money for every sign up, and that's totally fine. I have nothing against affiliate marketing at all. It's a great business. The problem is when you get 100 people to sign up and you're getting paid $10 per person, and then the tool all of a sudden stops working, or it's not that great, you're left with a choice. Are you going to give up that recurring passive income, or are you going to tell the truth and say you shouldn't use it and give up all that monthly income? And that's the tough choice that is being, it's now, okay, that's the choice that people are having to make now. And unfortunately, they're leaning towards oh no, it still works. The problem is the item location, or it's the tracking, guys. It's not the software. Look, for the most part, now some softwares, like you said, some tools, totally fine. But for the most part, the major softwares out there, if someone's still promoting it in 2019, okay, my personal opinion, not that they're wrong or they have a bad motive, but just think about it for a second. Step back 1 second. Think about a motive, because everyone has a motive, whether it's good or bad. It's not always bad, but everyone has a motive.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I have, so honestly, like I think that I'm really small channel, but still like people reach out to me, and like software owners, a lot of them are like coming to me and offering me really good offers that like I can take and earn money from that. But I'm always thinking, like I had an offer, but I asked, okay, it also helps me, but how is that helping to like the community that I'm trying to build? How it is giving a solution? And like there is no solution, and I don't want to only promote something that will not actually help people. Okay, and I think, and this is like the most bizarre thing that right now, no softwares can actually work the best for people. And from my experience, my personal experience, so I had a store with like 11,000, 10,000 items, something like that, was making about between 300 to 500 in sales per day. And now I have only 77 listings in my store, and it's selling like almost a bit more over 200 pounds in a day, and I have almost zero questions. I have so few orders, and I have almost for now like zero returns, like cases, things like that. And I'm more enjoying that. And I told myself, okay, so going in and spreadsheet and check every single listing, it will be like a headache. How will I do that? And like I have 100, and like I have almost 100, and it takes me less than 10 minutes to check every one of them. And I use not Amazon Prime, so it like the prices never change. Like maybe once or like twice it's a week, like in tops. So it is. I think it is more convenient, and I have much more sales. And actually, my account, I can see that my ranking. So when I posted an item, a new item, I can see that eBay throws me straight away to the bottom of the search results because my account is flagged and throttled. And I'm speaking right now on account that it is actually like flagged and it's still making good sales, although it's flagged. And now I'm starting to see that my ranking is starting, and all of my listings starting to get higher and higher. And like I didn't list items for over a week now, and my sales are going up. So it is really a good thing. And I wanted to ask you now. So there is like the new software, SKU Fetch.
Yeah.
You heard it. So what do you think about it? I personally, like I said to myself, so if I will do that manually, I will do that 100% manually, not using Zeek. And another thing that I wanted, sorry that I don't give you to speak. I just wanted.
No, it's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Before I forget, I just wanted to tell you something about Zeek. Again, I'm not against Zeek, and actually you can use Zeek with the manual dropshipping, but the problem that I found using Zeek Analytics with that method, that Zeek gives you only the most sales of the item, and not the most recent sales. Okay, and so I always, even though like if I find an item that, so my minimum is 3 times in the past 30 days. So even if I found an item more than 3 times that sold more than 3 times in the past 30 days, I'm still going inside eBay, and I see that this guy sold it like almost a month ago. So it means that this item is still selling, but someone else is selling it. And this is something that Zeek cannot do. Maybe if they can, maybe it will have, I don't know. But actually going inside eBay and understand what is going in, because you have, if you do title search in Zeek, so it gives you only the ones that's selling it under the same title. But in eBay, you actually see, to me, it says fewer words matching results, something like that.
Absolutely.
And there I actually found people that selling it even at higher price with a better title and no competition under this title.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that Zeek cannot do.
Yeah, Sasha. Look, Sasha, clearly you know what you're talking about. You're looking at things exactly the right way, and so a lot of people will come to me, and I'll answer the SKU fetch question as well. But a lot of people will come to me and say, "Well, wait though, this does show me the most recent sales," because let's just say there's a software that does show you the most recent sales, right? The problem is then my rebuttal to that is, okay, well, what about sellers who are falsifying UPC numbers and model numbers? What about them? And then they come to me and say, no, it found that too. And then I say, look, even if your software can do everything and give you all the results, the fact of the matter is it still unfortunately desensitizes you from your store and makes you less involved. And for a lot of people, eBay dropshipping is a beginner business, okay, for the most part. I would say 95% of people who get into eBay dropshipping, it's a beginner business for them. And one thing you have to realize is, you know, it's great. Yeah, it's great to look up to, you know, great entrepreneurs like Warren Buffett, you know, Mark Cuban and Gary Vee and all those people. It's great. But the thing is, the reason they're uninvolved in their businesses, their main businesses, maybe they outsourced, is because they have bigger things to do now. They've done the work. Okay.
Yeah.
Ask any of them, how many hours did they spend when they first started? And so, you know what? Yeah, like tracking your items manually is not, it's not as easy as the software. Listing items and product research manually is not as easy as the software. But what's your alternative? You know, your alternative is probably to go to work for 8 hours. So
Yeah.
when I tell people, you know, check your items for 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever, you know, it's worth it, guys, in the long run, because it can be outsourced. And I'm not saying sit there and do it for 18 hours a day, every day, forever. Just put in the work up front, and then you can outsource it to virtual assistants. Now, here's the crazy thing, okay? The software is taking over. I don't want to make it sound like it's the end of the world, but you know, it's been such a big impact on the eBay dropshipping community that unfortunately, when you go to hire a virtual assistant, you're going to have to retrain them how to do things manually, because even the virtual assistants in the Philippines, at least, they expect to use software. So I'll get virtual assistants, I'll hire them, and then they tell me, oh, hey boss, did you know about this tool that could do this for us? And I'm like, yes, I know about the tool. We're not using it. And that's one thing I want to mention real quick is, you know, and going on to the SKU fetch thing, I want to just say real quick, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning, that I really do my research before I speak. And so I don't want anyone to think that I'm trying to, you know, come at software or come at your methods. I don't want to offend anyone. I do my research. I don't talk on things and act like I'm an expert unless I have looked into things. So I'm always keeping up with the softwares. Okay, I'm always keeping up with the latest softwares. I'm trying to keep up as much as possible, because I don't want to make a statement that's incorrect without doing my research first. So I just want to put that out there. So SKU fetch, I know about it, and it goes back to that argument. Well, it's manual. It doesn't connect to the API. There's nothing wrong with connecting to the API, in my opinion. Look, I use TrackerBot. It connects to the API, and my account didn't get flagged, or I haven't seen a drastic decrease in sales. The problem is that the definition of manual dropshipping is being taken from people who are coming from software. And so people who come from software, their definition of manual dropshipping is using software that doesn't connect to the API.
Exactly. So instead of changing the mindset, they are like trying to trick eBay so they will not know anything. And eBay, they're not that stupid. I saw that the SKU fetch, how it works. And imagine yourself, you have 1,000 items that it goes in repricing. And eBay can see a pattern that it is doing the same thing like a machine, like a robot. And there's no way that human can do that perfectly. Like you list in 1 minute, everyone. It doesn't matter if you do that from within the API or not. Like eBay, maybe they didn't catch it up right now, but like in a few days, it like will be super easy, and they watch all of our videos, so it's not.
They probably love you and I, because they're like, but think about it, guys. That's a great point Sasha just made. You know, like think about it. Where do you think the softwares are getting the data from? So people are amazed when I show them, or I'm sure when you show them, you know, hey, you can see all the selling history on eBay, and people are amazed. But where do you think the software is getting that information from? They're getting it from eBay. So anything that software can do, I 100% guarantee it. I guarantee it that you can do yourself. Okay, and if you can find something that you can't do yourself without software, message me, DM me on Instagram, and I will make a public video saying I was wrong and saying sorry to you.
Hey guys, everyone that is watching, first of all, thank you for all the people that are in right now. I don't know exactly how to check how many people we have, but I see some comments here. So first, please give this video a thumbs up. Show some love to Sully that is now in our channel, and here to also answer your questions. So give this video a thumbs up so we will reach to more audience as much as possible. And I was saying almost eBay and YouTube. I'm like you. I'm always thinking like ranking eBay. And also, please go ahead and ask your questions in the chat box, and I will go through each and all the questions. You know, try not to ask like question like when fresh beginner. We want things that about the manual dropshipping because we want to cover as much as possible. So before we go to the chat box questions, I want to actually go ahead. I made some questions for that can help the UK market. So I want to ask you a few questions, okay? So my first question that I wanted to ask you is not related, especially only to the UK market. Okay, I think that I already know that the answer for it, but for our watchers to know, like how did you like figure out the way to the manual dropshipping? Because I wanted people to understand that this is a mindset, that it's not that you did it magic or something like that, that people cannot do that, or you have like a brain that other people cannot have, but you came on eBay with a different mindset. You thought to yourself, okay, I'm doing something else. I don't want to do like the things that everyone do and like be like a sheep. So explain us a bit like how did you like found out this way?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so the way I kind of developed my process of doing things is it was simpler for me, and the reason is because there was software when I started. Okay, when I started, there was software, so I did have to make a conscious decision to not use software still. So there was software when I started, so it wasn't like, oh, I had no choice. But the thing is
no one does. Like everyone software is like, yeah, we'll use softwares.
Yeah, so that's the problem, right? That's why I give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I understand where they're coming from when today they come to me and they only see software as the option. Because today, if you're going to start eBay dropshipping, you know, Google it or YouTube it, and you're going to see, you know, I'm not going to name any softwares, but you're going to see this software, this software, this software. So today, it's so common that I understand why people look at manual as weird. But the thing is most successful dropshippers who've been doing it for a year or 2 years, they start off manually. Okay, everyone usually starts off manually, and then you transition into the software. Unfortunately, now people are starting with software, and then they're transitioning back to manual. That's the opposite direction. So for me, I noticed that everyone was using software, but when I looked up, you know, these other sellers and was comparing myself and just my couple first months of results doing things manually to other sellers, I noticed that, you know, I'm doing the same amount of sales or more with far less items, fewer items in my store. And another thing is I use Lowe's as a supplier, as my main supplier, and the software hadn't caught up to Lowe's yet. So that was kind of a good thing for me because a lot of the software out there wasn't going to work with Lowe's anyway.
There is a reason why you chose Lowe's?
Yeah. So Lowe's was a very untapped supplier, and it still is today very untapped. But back in, you know, when I started, 2017, it was very untapped, and not many people were using it, and it was causing so many issues, and no one wanted to deal with it. A couple people were, and they were doing great. So I just decided I'm going to do the same thing.
Where there's a problem, there's money.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So okay, fantastic. So yeah, I also like, as I told you, like everyone was using Amazon. I just went to eBay and I saw Walmart. Like not so many people use Walmart, and they have the shipping costs. And no, like you just need to register. You have also like 30-day free trial, and like I made a ton of money until they shut down the shipping cost. Also, I wanted, so let's go with the first question for the UK. So I see your videos and you're talking about, and I also believe that, and believe me that if we had that possibility, it was really helpful. That I can see that you are saying that people that are starting off or just want to change the manual method, they need to focus on one or two suppliers max. But the problem in the UK, okay, so when you and me working the manual, or every people like working in the manual process, so the problem is that there are not a lot of big suppliers like Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, all of those suppliers. If you will go and search their items on eBay, you will find them. But in the UK, we don't have this those like big retailers like Amazon, that I can go ahead and source only from that source. Personally, for me, I use multiple sources because I always try to sell what sells. And like I see in your process, for example, that you are going and searching item each item one by one. You go and searching from lowest to eBay, and this is really time consuming. But it works, yes. But for example, what I do, so I'm trying to find a dropshipper that dropship from that supplier.
Yeah.
I'm going to his all his items, and I can see that he has most of his items will be from that supplier if it is in the United States. But in the UK, it is more like really high variety of suppliers. So something that maybe can help us out about it, because this is the main problem, that we cannot stick with only one supplier in the UK.
Yeah. So, and I do know of the method of going to a drop shipper and finding them. I do that too, actually. But the reason I didn't teach that right away is because the problem that happens when you teach that first is that people will find that one drop shipper, and then they'll think that that's your main competitor. He made 20 sales, so I should base my price and title off of this one person. They don't go back and look for other sellers. And so that's
I do. For me, it's obvious to do it. Every item I
see,
take it from him, I'm still going and seeing who is selling it, maybe even for less or something like that. Yeah, sorry.
So a lot of people don't do that, and that's why it's important that that's why I personally taught the check on the supplier first. That way they understand that they have to look for every other seller on that listing and then find the main competitor. Because if I told them right away to go to the drop shipper, what people are going to do is they're just going to think, oh, well, I should take the title and pricing from this person then. And then they still won't make sales. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I really like that method that you're saying. It definitely is what I do now as well. But you got to keep in mind to go back. Now, in terms of the suppliers, the different suppliers. So with the UK market, since you said that, it's a little harder, there's less of a variety on those retailers, I would say in that specific scenario, it's okay to use multiple suppliers, okay? But what you would do ideally is you would list a small number of items from each one, a few items from each one, and then learn to maximize your time on each supplier, because you really do need to learn about each supplier, and maybe even find, if let's say you have to use 5 suppliers, for example, try to pick 1 or 2 still that you're going to list the majority of your items from, and then the other ones list a few items as well. But you need to really try to split up your time then on each one and try to master each one. Because if you're doing that, then chances are everyone else is doing that too. So it's a level and even playing field. In the US, the thing that happens is, people just want to use multiple suppliers, and you don't have to. So if you have to in the UK, that's totally fine. Use the multiple suppliers, but just definitely don't get caught up in just focusing on one then, and then have items from 4 other suppliers in your store. You have to focus, a set amount of time on each supplier at that point.
Yeah, like what I did exactly what you are saying. That I am testing. Like I didn't put all my listings in the same from the same supplier, or like few of them. I just, because I don't really know, and I'm still testing new suppliers, because there are suppliers. And also I wanted to ask you about Clovis. For example, a really big one and a really good one, and they have really good items that are cheap for the value that they provide. It is Asda. Asda, they are owned by Walmart, so it is like Walmart in the UK, and they have a brand called Georgie, and so this is their website. But the problem, they get invoice. The customers always get an invoice, and I had, comparing to the sales that I had a lot of complaints, and this has really damaged my feedback, and like did it really like bad problems with the feedback from customers. So Lowe's, they are providing an invoice, or you like they are not?
Yeah, so Lowe's does actually give an invoice as well on, when they ship an item. But the thing is that I don't really worry about that. And the reason is because it doesn't cause that many problems, as many as people think, at least not in the US. So the thing with the UK is it seems like people and customers aren't too worried about convenience, and they're not just really desensitized from shopping yet. In the US, the Amazon is like so big now that customers and people shopping online, they don't even care anymore. They'll just buy anything, and they don't even check the receipts in the box and stuff. And so I understand what you mean. In the UK, maybe that hasn't happened yet, and so people are still smart consumers. But in the US, that isn't really a big problem. So when Lowe's ships the item with the invoice, yeah, some customers do complain, rarely, but sometimes. And what you would do in that situation, what I always do is I offer a small refund. So like, for example, if the difference in pricing was $20, I'll go ahead and offer like half of that. And usually what's funny is the customer doesn't even care. Like, they'll just say, okay, it's not worth it for me to argue. Let me just take that and run. And they're okay. They're happy. Now, if a customer is still mad after all of that, then you can go ahead and refund the full amount. I always try to give my best customer experience and service, because I'm mimicking what Amazon's doing. Amazon, they're known for great customer service, and they're doing really great for themselves. So as an eBay dropshipping owner, and also dropshipping on Amazon, I do the same thing. I try to provide the best customer service as possible.
Yeah, it's a really good solution, and I did that also. Like I offered some some partial refund, because even if you are not comparing the same, because of course you have fees, you have like PayPal fees. So even though if you're not giving him the same exact price, still you don't want to have the hassle to go ahead and return you the item back. Okay, so this is a great solution for that. Okay, I'm still testing new suppliers in the UK that do not provide an invoice, but you can make new sales from them. Let's see what questions. Let's see in the chat box if you have like something, a really good question. And how do you do? So, Launa Ro, how do you do with product research? Do you list like every product? So about how Sully is doing his product research, you can go ahead to his channel. He made a really good video about it. You can just implement the same thing in the UK. You have his channel in the first link in the description. And also, if you want, I also posted a video a few days ago. I did a live stream with myself at 6 a.m. and I'm doing manual product research with like Sully's method. And let's see if we have something interesting here. Christina saying Tesla are amazing.
Yeah, Christina from with Martin, they drove a Tesla recently. That was cool.
Yeah, so Gloria. Hi, Gloria. Thank you for being here. So she's asking that, can a throttle account get back to normal when you manual dropship? So before you answer, Sully, I want to give her my answer, because this is exactly what I did. So I said to myself, like, I already have this account. Like, before to start going stealth accounts and like I try to, like, I'm doing it right now. I'm doing a stealth account with a different LTD company, because I'm not from the UK, so I cannot like ask someone for an address, something like that. So it is more complicated for me, but it is still a complicated thing. Okay, so what I did, I said to myself, okay, so I still have those stores. So let's try with one of the stores. I deleted all of the listings, all of them, all the listings from Amazon. I revoke all the access for all the softwares, all the repricing tools, everything that were there, and only having like eBay, the eBay and all the other softwares. I revoked the access, and actually even stopped using Zik Analytics for that, and just went to eBay and started searching, doing that manual dropshipping. Like when I listed like 13 items, I got a sale in the same day. And today actually I have 77, only 77 listings, and I will grow my business. So in the UK, the problem, there is not that sales volume like in the United States, but the competition is much lower. So for example, your results were from like 500 and something listings. So I think that if you will have 1,000 listings, maybe 1,500 listings in the UK with manual dropshipping and a good product research, with going ahead and keeping up with the listing, that this is something that I'm really doing, that I'm keeping up with my listings that I already posted. And like I change titles, change prices. Sometimes I can see that my competitor is too high, so I hide the price, and boom, I got a sale. And I'm really focusing on making my listings the best as possible. And again, if you will have 1,000 listings and 1,500 listings, of course you will outsource the part of the going and repricing the items, because you will actually make money. But yeah, I'm doing like over 200 in sales in my store. And yeah, maybe it's not £1,000, but guess what? I'm not paying a huge amount of fees for all the softwares to like manage all this quantity of items that I have. Yeah. So your answer, Sully, for that?
Yeah. So my answer, a lot of people actually ask this, like, can you get, unthrottled or unflagged with my manual method and the manual method in general, if you've already been using software? So my answer is, first of all, in all honesty, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't been throttled, so I haven't gone through that experience. But what I always tell people to do when this question comes up is I recommend you still disconnect all the software and start doing the manual method without the software on the account that's throttled. And here's why. So let's say that it never gets unthrottled, right? Let's say it never gets unflagged. Well, at least this way, you can actually start practicing the manual method. And then if in about a month or two, it doesn't get unflagged, just go ahead and open a new eBay account. And then you are not going to be flagged, and you're going to know how to do the manual method. So people say, well, why shouldn't I just make it right now, that new account? The reason is because if you go and make a new account right away and you haven't even practiced how to do things manually, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to make a mistake, or maybe you're going to run back to software and you're just going to be back in the same position. So the worst case scenario, your account doesn't get unflagged. Who cares? I mean, it's a useless account anyway. So just go ahead and practice the manual. And then if it doesn't get unflagged, make a new one. If it does get unflagged, great, perfect.
So this is, I think that we are sharing the minds, Sully. This is exactly what I did. I thought to myself, so I'm paying so much high fees for those softwares, and I'm barely making money like to keep up listing in that pace that I was like this is also a great thing that you are talking about, that we are just deleting. Okay, so this item is not selling for 30 days. Bye bye. We just delete it and keep listing. And guess what? At least in the UK, sniping items, like after we get like 5,000, 10,000 items, it is also almost impossible to find good items, because I almost have all the items, the good items in my store. So instead of going and seeing what is the problem, because if you don't sell the item, it doesn't mean that the item is not selling. Okay, it's like I came back to third-party suppliers that I stopped almost a year ago with third-party suppliers, and actually I was making really good money, but there were too many problems, and I guess I was seeking for the comfort, and again, the problems give more money. This is really simple. So I came back to those listings. Actually, I was using Hustle.real, and they actually keep your listings, even though you delete them, you can still see them in the software. And guess what? After a year, they are still selling every single month. So even though your item is not selling, it doesn't mean that it will not sell. You need to go ahead and keep up with that listing. You can change the title, you can search who is selling this item right now, and it works. And in order to expand about the question, if you can, like, let's say, revive the throttle account. So my strategy, because I'm throttled with that account, and what I'm doing right now is manual dropshipping to try to do something, or at least, like Sully said, to test things out before I'm like screwing my account up. Because when you are screwing your account, it doesn't matter if you get back to top rated or you get back to good customer service. When you did a mistake, eBay will always like remember that. Let's say then a new account, with a brand new account, you like fresh, you have a fresh start, and you have the best visibility. So what I wanted to say, when you use third-party suppliers, and also Sully showed that in his product research video, that even if he will be ranked the lowest with the one of the lowest items that he found, or in my case, one of the third-party suppliers that I use in the UK, guess what? There are like only 3, 4, 5, 6 competitors. It's not like Amazon that you have 30, 50, 60, 70. So yes, nobody will see you. But if there are only like 3, 5, up to even 10, you still have a high chance to sell. And this is what I did. I had like items that with 4 competitors, 8 competitors, 7 competitors, 5 competitors from third-party suppliers, and I just beat the price for that title with trying to be the most competitive from the one that is actually selling it. And guess what? I made sales and my ranking got up. I got from the last place. I got up and up and up, and I'm in like there are items that I'm first place with a throttled account. So this is my take on that.
Yeah, that's what you have to just adapt, because if you've been using the software and you've gotten throttled, then there is a way to, get unthrottled. But definitely what you said, I think that's a good way. That's a great way. And I mean, it worked out for you. So you're proof that you can, still make sales and you can still recover from that.
Yeah,
and continuing to use the software heavily isn't going to help that anyway. So you might as well try another route. What's the worst that can happen? You'll still be throttled,
Yeah, it takes maybe a few minutes more than like using Zig for the product research for me, okay? But again, when I'm finding something good, I'm like, and all the time that my brain is working and I'm trying to figure out the new solutions. So so every time that happens when I am in eBay and I'm seeing things and I'm seeing different sellers, seeing different items, and trying to figure out what is everyone is doing. And only with that way, like, I had like a good success with the manual items that I already have, and I really hope that it will continue. And as we speak, I did a sale. So actually, I went and I linked I opened my eBay app to the one that without manual with the manual dropshipping. So I want you to hear actually the sales. So I don't know if you can see that, but here I have like 77 listings, and it is from the 60 past days. But I already I'm doing about 200 pounds in sales every single day, and I'm selling around 5 items, 6 items per day, like with almost zero effort. And I want to keep up and grow this account. And I think to myself, if I will keep up with that and keep up with my listings and make more good listings like this, I think I will make much more money, and I don't need to pay that much for softwares, for things like that, and just one VA doing like all the research and like repricing. So let's see if we have another good question. So Gloria, a great question. I hope that it answers you. To understand what check prices meaning when machine can do. So there is someone, Alexander. So he is saying, still don't understand why you have to check prices manually when machine can do it. So we already answered that. My take on that, that you think that you can trick eBay, but guess what? eBay will get to that SKU fetch or whatever it will be, and try it without using softwares and really the manual way that Sully really showed us. And this is actually what I was doing before there were Zeke, and that time I was making like around 3,000-4,000 US dollars with less than 500 listings. I think around 200 or 300 listings. And so just try it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like saying like why, why walk when you could use a car? I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably better for your health. It's not hurting the environment. There's always, I understand, the question like why not just do the software? Well, now it's even easier to answer that question. It's because it's hurting your business. Even without the API, even let's say that eBay wasn't flagging accounts, it's desensitizing you. It's making you less involved in your business in a bad way. It's also making your virtual assistants uninvolved. So, I mean, even if you give it to your virtual assistants, no one is running your business correctly. So that's the short answer.
I want to add something to it. Like, I don't think it's a problem if you use software or not. I think that this is the mindset that you are always seeking for the easy. I'm not saying that easy is it's worse or something like that, or it's better or something like that. But yes, you want to work smarter. But again, if you will try to eBay dropshipping is not a secret anymore. Everyone, like my mother, knows what is eBay dropshipping. Everybody knows what it is. So you cannot seek the easy way because everyone does that. And from my personal experience, when I listed items, those that I found the easiest were made me almost zero sales. Those are that I really put in the work. And I really saw my competition when I was making sure that I am the most, I'm offering the best price, the best title, everything. That's it. Like, it is making consistent sales. Like, yeah, like it is more work in the front end, but in the back end you see much more results. And with the softwares and all those stuff, so it is the opposite. The easy, it is on the front, but in the back end, because you're not doing any money and you're not making any profit, and you're paying so much for the software, because guess what? It was so easy to find like 10,000 items and list to your store, but you need to make sales. You need to pay the software. So for me, the more it's harder to find and to understand what a successful dropshipper is doing, if I want to see, like, take an ideas, the hardest for me to list the item, the more results I see from the item. This is like my take on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree with that.
You have some thoughts about stealth accounts?
Yeah, so I guess it depends where you are. If you're in the US, I would not do a stealth account because you still have to pay your taxes. And so with stealth accounts in the like traditional manner, they get a little confusing with taxes because you're going to be using someone's like fake name and like address. And so what you basically would have to do, and I'm not advocating for this, is you would have to continue to, what people do is they continue to make stealth accounts because they don't want to reach that $20,000 threshold, which in the US it's $20,000 in sales or 200 transactions, and 200 transactions. So you have to reach that. And so what a lot of people do is they'll keep making them so that PayPal doesn't issue a 1099, and it's a big mess if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, I'm not sure how. The only problem with stealth accounts is the tax.
It's working the same way if you are a non-US citizen. You can do like stealth account and everything, but when they will ask you the social security number, you don't have nothing to say, and bye eBay and that PayPal account. But Actually, I took Matt's Gambrill course about Amazon dropshipping, and like wholesale dropshipping and what he does. And an interesting thing that he said on his course about a company in the United States, that you can actually have an LLC in the United States on someone else's name, that no one will know what is your name in the company.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I recommend you do on eBay as well. If you're gonna do a stealth account, you would want to work with a family member. So
no, not a family member. He said that there is an option for a privacy when you set up, when you form
oh
an
yeah.
there is
There is. Yeah, so you can actually make your LLC private so that they can't see. But the problem with that, which I don't know if he talked about, but the issue that would come up is the ID verification on Amazon and potentially also eBay. If the account gets a restriction, they need to upload an ID, and so then they'll see that it's still you. So
yeah, people, yeah, I also thought about it, and I always think like it is better to try to figure out something with your actual account than go stealth. Like what I'm doing right now, I am opening call it a stealth account or just from. It's not a stealth account because it is one of my closest family name, and just open an LTD on his name, and I will trade the same way and totally legally with that name. But exactly what you said, it's better that way than just go ahead and use this option, because when the PayPal will want to verify your ID, you cannot do that. Let's see what more questions we have here. This part. So, Esin Vladimirov asks, do you spy other dropshippers to get product ideas and then check all competitors on this product?
yes, yeah, that's exactly. So I think that person was asking about like what I was saying. So that's exactly what you would do. You would go and find those other drop shippers, but the key thing is you still have to go back, like Sasha says he does, and like I do myself. You have to go back and check for other sellers too. That looking at other drop shippers to find products is exactly that. It's to find products. So here's the thing: the product research and the listing are two different things. And you need to remember that, okay? Product research is different than listing. When doing product research, your main goal is to find a hot selling product. When listing, your main goal is to list it in a way that you're going to be competitive and get sales.
Exactly. Good answer. And basically, I think maybe also he asked that, for example, if you found a seller that you took some items from him, okay, and you see that he is a good one, he's making a really good job with good margins and good titles and low competition. So, for example, I have a spreadsheet that I saved the seller's name. Like this is something that you do.
Yeah. So I memorize it. I have a good memory, so I usually memorize it. But yeah, you should create a spreadsheet for it if you don't memorize it.
Let's see. Chinese bar and what? Lubna Ro, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Asks, did you guys ever use Chinese supplier, and what do you think about it?
So I personally don't. I have never used them, and I personally don't recommend them. I don't know about you, Sasha. I know some people, they're kind of left vulnerable, and they that's their only option. But I really don't like, recommending or ever telling people to use Chinese suppliers. There are just too many problems with the quality of the items. The returns are a hassle. I mean, if the item's coming from China and your customer wants to return it, you basically have to take a loss unless you're going to have your customer return it to China, which is kind of just unprofessional. So
yeah, it's a bit difficult, but if you are dropshipping for AliExpress, it is something that's still possible. AliExpress, they really in the customer service, like eBay and Amazon, they're trying to copy Amazon customer service. So they will take care of you if you are not a satisfied customer, and they sometimes they refund and those things. But like I will say, like the thing is, if you are a U.S. citizen or a UK citizen, you do not have to do it. You don't need to use them. Okay, only because I'm from like Israel, and I already figured out a way to dropship on eBay. UK citizen with a UK identity, but there are people from all across the world that don't want to open an LTD or LLC, and they want to test stuff. So only maybe that can be a good solution for you, because you can't like purchase from all the US suppliers, and you cannot have all the benefits, cashback, all those gift card website that US citizens have, and because it's super competitive right now. So maybe China AliExpress can be something that you can consider if you just want to test like what is eBay. But again, Chinese suppliers is a whole different topic, and it is much more, can really be high risk. So if you are serious about eBay, go ahead and try to form an LLC or LTD and start working. Sully, you try to modify the everyone from making a collage from photos and movie PC, change the description to it. So I know from who this question is, Stefan Kovachev. So he asked, Sully, did you try to heavily modify the listing, making collage from the photos, removing the UPC, and change the description totally to the point it is almost look like a new item?
Yeah, no, I don't personally do that. I know some sellers do that, but again, with my main thing is finding sellers or finding my main competitor on a listing, and then literally I want to make it so that I show up in the results right next to that one seller. And so if I heavily modify the images, if I heavily modify the title, the UPC and things like that, then I would not show up with that person. So my strategy is to basically find someone who's doing something right and then show up right next to them. Now, the strategy that person, Stefan, is talking about is more so, you want to like completely differentiate yourself with, or sorry, from other sellers, which is, I see why people do it, and it actually does work, but it's not like super hard to do, but it is kind of a more advanced thing. So I personally wouldn't recommend doing that as a beginner.
Yeah. I also think that if you try to compete with someone, I don't see the point why change all the details, because I want to eBay recognize that I am like selling the same item 100%. And if you change UPC and all the product details and description, eBay can think that maybe it is a different item. So if you are using sniping method, I don't think that it is a good solution. So before we continue with the chat box, because I don't want it to be super long, I want to see what important questions I did type down here. So another thing that I already personally asked you that, and thank you for answering about it. So the way that Sully shows in his video that he is going and trying to search the most relevant competitor that he is Sully the most recently, and he is the relevant competitor right now. But another thing that I think that you like, this is my opinion, and I asked you, this is why I asked you about it, that you show, okay, you find like 5 different sellers, different titles, and you chose your competitor. But the thing is, and you decided, okay, I will compete with this guy, and I will compete with his price. Okay, so if you will go and you search his title again, there is a high chance that you will find new sellers with the same title that they did this the exact same thing that they do. And my question is, I asked you, do you undercut them as well, or you only undercut your main?
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. Yeah, that was I think there was a delay, but yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question that you asked.
So basically, like what Sally answered me, that even if you find your main competitor, you still want to do the product research again. Okay, you did that the first time that you find your competitor, and then you want to copy the title, paste it again on eBay, and then to see who is selling under the same title, and try to be the more competitive at the price. At least this is what I think. At least until you get some ranking, you make some sales, some proof that sales history proof, and maybe then you can try to catch up with the price, increase a bit the price to be as close as possible to your main competitor. But if you have more competitors that did the same thing that you did, I think that you need to be the lowest one first, make some sales to get up in the ranking, and then try to to be as close as possible to your main competitor, the selling most recently.
Right. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So if, for example, someone in the chat right now, just to give an example, if you found, Sasha's listing, me and Sasha have the same listing, and Sasha's selling it, 20 times in the last week. But I took Sasha's title and I undercut the price. Everything in my listing is the same, except I'm cheaper, but I haven't made any sales yet. You would still undercut my price, not Sasha's, because you're going to take Sasha's title. You're going to take his everything else. You're going to match him. But in terms of pricing, even if there's someone who's not making the most recent sales of everything else they already copied, then just go ahead and take the price from them and undercut that person.
Exactly. This is what I did, and this is why I also asked that, because I think this is super important, because like people will try to compete with this seller. It doesn't matter what is the price; they will try to compete with him and be like blind about all the other that already guess what, sniped him already, and maybe they will get the sale. So I think that it is the best way to be the most competitive, according to all. After you find your main competitor, to see who is selling it under the same title, and to be the most competitive with all of those sellers with the same title. So this is like a follow-up question, okay? So if you are doing that, you are undercutting all the competition, and there are sometimes like people are trying to undercut insanely. Like you still want to be in the competition, because I see that, like I saw and everyone saw that according to your sales, your profit margins are much more than 10%. Like they are more than 10%. But when I undercut someone that like already undercutted someone else, so the margin is really, really slim. So sometimes it can be like 3%, even 1%, 4%, 6%. So how can you actually still make profit when you're using this method?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yep, that's a great question. So what you would do in this case is you would just need to undercut the person. The reason that I'm able to have, the higher profit margin still is because, again, I'm using Lowe's, and there's just not that many people using that supplier. And also the people using Lowe's are like more mature as drop shippers. And so what I mean by that is they're not really trying to compete as much. I think my camera went off. Sorry about that. Let me just go ahead and fix that real quick.
So guys, before we continue, please go. I see that we have 19 people here in the chat. So first of all, thank you all of you for being here, and please give this video a thumbs up so it will get for the most viewers in the YouTube search. So if we provide for you some value, and we appreciate Sully's time, so please give this video a thumbs up.
Okay, I think we're good now. Sorry about the technical difficulties. So as I was just saying, so basically, like with Lowe's, people aren't undercutting as much. They still do, but not as often. But if you have a supplier and you're seeing that people are undercutting you a lot, just keep undercutting. And I know it seems like a weird answer, and a lot of people won't tell you that. But the reason is because everyone thinks, oh, I should just move on. But if you stay and you keep undercutting, and someone else keeps undercutting, eventually you will get to zero, right? $0 in profit. And at that point, it's just basically seeing who is going to keep processing orders for no money. And I almost assure you that the other seller is going to give up really quickly because it just doesn't make sense. But as soon as that person gives up, now there's no competition and you can increase the price again. And the best part is you might say, yeah, but then he's going to come back or she's going to come back. The truth is they probably won't because they're going to think, well, we're just going to race to the bottom again. Who cares? So a lot of drop shippers, this is what I see often is, a lot of drop shippers are quick to jump to conclusions and quick to just move on from things. What's the hottest software app today? Let me use that. What's the best next selling item? Let me do that. Let me list that. Take it slow, take it easy. Don't jump to conclusions and think about this very strategically because this is a real business. I know, in other areas like people who do Shopify, they probably think, eBay dropshipping is a joke, but if you really do take it serious and like you're strategic, you can make a lot of money. And so I want you guys to be strategic and think everything you do in this business through.
Yeah, there are a lot of people saying to me, oh, maybe I would try Amazon. Oh, maybe I would try this. I would try that. I personally think, and I think that you do that as well. Until I will not like succeed in one thing, I don't want to move on to another thing because if I fail on eBay, why I won't fail in Amazon, on Shopify, because they're in competition with all of those platforms. So this is what I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree with that. Just take it slower and really commit to it.
Yeah, I want to see if we have like some good question here. I don't want to keep you longer. What do you see myself? This one. This is a good question, I think, from AC Vladimiro. So he's asking, how can we know if the competition on the product is too high?
So he's asking if it's like, how do you know if it's the competition is too high? Well, I never, I guess the answer there would be what you would have to look at the alternative. So like if you have like two items in front of you and you only want to list two, or sorry, you only want to list one, of course it would probably be better to go with the less competition item, right? The less competitive one. But the thing is again, it kind of goes back to the last point we made is you need to, at that point, learn how to use your supplier as strategically as possible because there is a set number of strategies on each supplier, right? And so what a lot of people also do, a lot of beginner dropshippers, is they come to me and say, well, these dropshippers, these other sellers are losing money. I did the calculation and they're losing money. And the truth is sometimes people do that, right? And they make their money on the back end. But for the most part, people look at my listings and they think that I'm losing money, right? So the product research video that I recently did, people are asking me, well, that's great and all, but you're going to lose money on this item. It was like a $3.97 item. And people were like, well, what about shipping? And it kind of goes back to what you were saying with the Walmart shipping pass. With Lowe's, you can actually get free shipping on that item if you have an account. So there's always strategies that other people know that you might not know. So don't jump to conclusions. In my recent video, I said, for the quote at the end, I said, jump as fast at opportunities as you do to conclusions. So with your supplier, there's so many different strategies you can use to save money. So, if it's too much competition, okay, go ahead and move on. But if you're finding yourself saying that for every item you're looking at, you need to see, like, why is there so much competition? Like, what are these people doing where I can't compete with them? And how can I do it so I can also compete on this listing?
Mm-hmm. That's correct, yes. There are also, like, cashbacks, like, there are, like, Home Depot is, like, 8% cashback, and also, I think you can find, like, discounted gift cards. So A lot of people doing the money on the back end. I personally like if to summarize it, for example, if you have like, do you have like a sort of number? So if you will see that if there's like more than 50 sellers, more than 100 sellers, more than 20 sellers, for me now in the manual dropshipping, I'm trying to avoid like items more than 20 sellers for me.
Yeah. So I never really find that many competitors because of the fact that I use Lowe's. I know I keep saying that a lot, but if you see something like that many competitors, yeah, I would stay away from it just because it would be very time consuming to like open every seller every day and check that and stuff. So I would say in terms of a number, you know, it's hard to say because I use Lowe's so heavily that I would probably throw out a number and people would be like, what the heck? Because you threw out 20 right there and I'm surprised because 20 to me is actually a lot. But I would say, if I see like, the other thing you have to understand though, real quick, is that when you see a lot of competitors, it doesn't always mean that they're actually like competitors. They could be like people who listed it and they haven't checked their listing in 2 years. So I guess what the real thing is, how many of those competitors are actually like really competitors, right? How many of them are actually keeping up with their eBay store? And some of them aren't even going to know that they have that item in their store still. So in terms of like true competitors, like real people, like who you're actually competing with, I would say, if there's more than like 5 to 10, yeah, I would just move on.
Look, we have still a lot of questions here, and we already like an hour in, and I don't want to keep that to be that really long video. And so let's say to summarize it from some knowledge that maybe you do have from the UK and from like beginners, or also this is one of my questions. So what are you suggesting to do? Not only for beginners, also for beginners and people that are already in so heavily with all the softwares and have. So if you don't know, in the UK, you can like pay the Anchor store and you have a amount of listings. It is good, but still it's not the amount of work that you need to do on the back end for each listing. It is like all the to keep all the invoices, like I'm talking about accounting stuff because they like having so a lot of items and like selling them that cheap, and you need more VAs to manage all of that. And so you like, I think you keep maybe 4,000 or 5,000 pounds in a month from when you're selling like 100 or 150 pounds in sales per month. I don't know how much do you really keep from that, because it is taking so much outsourcing and manpower to like manage all of that. So like my final question is, what are you recommending for people that are beginners and people that are already so heavily with softwares, with a lot of that have already a lot of listings and took that route?
Yeah, okay, good way to wrap things up. I would say for beginners, definitely start off manually. Anyone who's successful today with eBay dropshipping, they started off manually. More than likely, like 99% of the people you might be looking up to, they started off manually. So, do what they did. If you want to use software in the future, fine, do it for sure. I'm not going to be mad at you. I'm still going to help you, okay? And I bet Sasha is too. But in the beginning, learn the process. So that way, if something goes wrong in the future with software, you're going to be one of the people who's teaching other people. You're not going to be, the person who's trying to learn how to do. I have people messaging me who have taken courses and they're asking me, how do I list an item manually? The course didn't teach me. So, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy how much invested people are into software. So as a beginner, I think honestly, like I have no kickback from saying this. There's no affiliate links for going manual. So go manual and learn it that way. Now, if you're already heavily invested into software, I know it kind of sucks because like you said, if you put the money into the Anchor store, you put the money into this and that, the worst case scenario is your eBay account gets suspended. So now what you have to do is you have to look at, should I keep trying this method that could potentially suspend my eBay account and then I have a bigger problem? Or should I take the loss? I already paid for the software for a year and the Anchor store. Who cares? What's done is done. You can always go back and redo things, guys. Okay, it's never too late until you get suspended. Don't be that person who keeps saying, you know, a good analogy is the person who says, oh, I don't have to save for retirement. I don't have to save for retirement. And next thing you know, they're 55 years old and they didn't save for retirement. So don't be that person. It's okay that you heavily invest into software and all these things. People make mistakes, but you got me, you got Sasha, you got these resources to help you change. So just change and go manual now.
Yeah, this is a great answer. I also like my store right now that with 77 listings that are making like more than 200 in sales per day. It is almost equal to the profit that I was making with the softwares for that account. And guess what? Like everything that I was paying for the softwares, and then I also need to outsource the listing because I need to list so many items per day and handle so many so much of customer service and returns and cases and things that there are like things that you still need to do with the manpower, so you cannot outsource it. But now I'm making a bit less, but I can just go ahead and list more good items, and I have much less problems. I think that this can be something really meaningful for the eBay dropshipping community, if it is the United States or the UK, manual dropshipping. And I think that this is a good thing because, you know, all those people that trying to find the easy way, and I'm guarantee you that if you will try to ask 80%, even 90% from the community that are actually dropshippers to go ahead and find item manually, nobody knows how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. Like how do this is the basic stuff, and like I think you have to know that because guess what? Maybe tomorrow there are no softwares. That's it. You don't have any business. So this is for me the part about softwares. It takes all the creativity, and I think you should like at least. I'm not saying go all in manual. You can. And I took one store. And I did that, and I'm really happy that I did that, and I'm learning always all the time new stuff, and I started to be more and more creative, and started to see more opportunities on eBay that maybe in a different way or different method that I can go ahead and test. But this is only because I went to eBay and I started to see things. So yes, Sully, thank you so much for being here. And believe me, I can like speak for hours and ask you so many questions. I really like the vibe with you, and I really hope to have you in my channel really soon in the future. I think that you provide a great value to the community, and you really are like, and because also eBay trying to take down all those garbage sellers, dropshippers that trying to ruin that business model. And information like you provide now will actually, and I know personally that a lot of people went manual, and that will do better for the community and for the future for eBay dropshipping. So thank you for the value. You have great videos, great channel. The first link in the description is Sully's channel. Go ahead and check his channel. There are really good, really great content that I think everyone needs to see that. Yeah, so thank you, Sully.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you so much, Sasha. I think you are honestly doing a great job teaching, you know, this method to the UK market. I think that's great because I can't do it. You know, I'm not as experienced in the UK, eBay UK community. So I think it's really awesome to have someone like you doing it. And, you know, I didn't even know that you had the channel before I met you. And I think it's great. Like I watched some of your videos. Guys, I can say confidently, like Sasha knows what he's talking about. Just talking with him a little bit, he is actually like looking into things. He's gonna steer you guys the right way, it seems like. So definitely thank you more for, you know, kind of spreading the message and kind of creating this revolution of going against that software and making a change.
It is a good content, and I'm really like the channels that I see in the United Kingdom. They are not dropshippers themselves, and I do dropship, and I will continue dropship no matter what. Because this is also my main source income, and I kind of enjoy that. And every time problem comes up, I'm like saying to myself, okay, people will quit. I have less competition, but I really thankful to have great content like you have, you did really give us a different perspective about eBay dropshipping and kind of shake us out all from all the convenience. And I think that it will really do good to the community. So again, thank you, Sully, and I really, really want to see you in another video with maybe live like this in my channel in the future. And of course, I will keep up with you in personal on Instagram. You're doing an amazing job. I wish you a lot of luck with your YouTube and Instagram, what you are doing. You're doing really, really good things with high quality, and I guarantee that I think that you will succeed easily. And that's it. Thank you, man, and I will see you really soon.
Thank you so much, Sasha. It's a pleasure being on your channel. Thank you so much for everything.
Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Bye.